Hello, welcome to the Fulhamish quick take here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel. After last night's 1-0 defeat to Spurs at Craven Cottage, Sammy here, and I'll reflect on everything that happened in last night's game. It was a disappointing one, a frustrating one, and just a bit of a bump back down to earth, really, after what had been such an incredible period after the World Cup. The 5 wins in a row, 4 in the league, the win against Chelsea. And we knew that the games against Newcastle and Spurs were going to be tough. And no one realistically would have expected anything out of them. But even when they happen, it's still disappointing, isn't it, really? So going to look back at the game last night. Fulham didn't really perform. I felt like in the Newcastle game, we came out of it with some pride and that we could have made a lot more of it and that we were unlucky. Last night, I don't think we were unlucky. That being said, I didn't come out of it thinking Spurs deserved to win it either. In my opinion, it was a game that was worthy of a 0-0 draw and nothing more. I think that the only difference was that Spurs have some world-class players, and one of those world-class players, Harry Kane, produced a moment of brilliance. And that was the only real thing in the game. You watched the highlights back this morning. I was thinking, maybe I like missed a few chances that happened. Maybe there was more in the game, and I don't remember it. And there really wasn't much. I think Harrison Reed's kind of flick at the ball. It was a good cross from the right-hand side. I think that was the closest Fulham came. And in the second half, there was an opportunity where Pereira brilliantly found Mitro from a quick thinking free kick. Mitro had made a fantastic run and just no one on the same wavelength. Mitro never thought that. I don't think anyone thought he was going to get a ball into the box. And actually, he produced a brilliant cross that flashed across the 6-yard box. Someone should have gambled. But I didn't think even in the stands that Mitro was going to make it. So maybe the players didn't think Mitro was going to make it either. He did amazingly well to actually swivel on the ball. Mana Solomon came close at the end. I think it was going wide though. Lloris saved it anyway, which I think made us think that it was closer than it was. So yeah, a really, really flat game. I thought that Fulham were brilliant for the first 30 minutes, but just never incisive enough. And sadly, I think what we were victims of yesterday is what Spurs have been trying to do all season, but often failing. I mean, it blows my mind that Spurs fans are happy. Well, I know they're not happy, but I get that Antonio Conte is a born winner. I get that he doesn't care how you win. It's just about winning. And I think that's what he's been trying to instill all season is this steeliness in Spurs, this doggedness. And often it's not paying off for them, particularly against the bigger teams. But against Fulham last night, his game plan worked. He contained us for the first 30 minutes. They contained us for the first 30 minutes. We didn't really make many opportunities despite having a lot of the ball. Then they turned it on in a short period where they were able to use their quality to win the game. And then the second half, they just managed it. They just managed it. And look, you can blame their time wasting and all the head injuries. We do the same. We do the exact same. Leicester, that is our game plan too, is to nick games. And we would have done the same at Newcastle had we managed to take the lead from that penalty. So I don't think we can massively throw stones in this direction. Fulham have played that game as well a lot of times this season, used a bit of quality and then held on by playing the dark arts. Spurs were particularly good at it last night. I mean, where did added time go? It felt like there was 6 minutes given and I think about a minute of football played in stoppage time. We just never were able to get a rhythm. We were never able to get our fluency. And I think we just lacked a few ideas, really. So I'm interested to see what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you're saying. I like this one from Flipside Fish 41. Cross button broken. Yeah, the crosses last night. Struggling to think of a good one. I think one cross found Mitro's head in the second half, but it was a tough one and he didn't kind of direct it right, but he kind of found him in that back post area that he likes. Felt like we kept trying to go left as well. We were always just using Robinson and Willian. It was so predictable. There was a couple of times you were like, let's try the right-hand side. Let's try Kenny Tete. Let's try take it over Reed. And I love Jeddah. I love Anthony Robinson. I think he's such a good player for us. And I think that he's got the potential to look at clubs beyond Fulham. I really do. I think he's a magnificent player, but his final ball, his crossing is just so weak. There was a moment yesterday in the first half where he just galloped down the left-hand side, completely free, left the Spurs right-hand side for dead. And there you are. He's got all the time in the world to take a touch, put a cross in, find someone, and he just blasts it. Absolutely blasts it. Almost went out the other side. And you're like, oh, come on. Just slow down, have a bit of composure. So yeah, the crossing was poor last night. And I feel like that game, that seems to happen every now and again where we just don't seem to be able to find Mitro, or the defenders seem to be able to contain Mitro, and there's just the crosses into the box just a little bit aimless. Jack Finn, I was going to come on to this. I think Marco needs to make his substitutions earlier. Wilson, Solomon, Tom, Carlos, etc. can change the game, but not coming on until the last 15, 10 minutes. So yeah, I think Kearney came on at the right time. I think that was a good move, and that gave Kearney enough time. And I think he changed the game, Tom, but I think he came on and gave us a bit more going forward. And it looked that Spurs weren't really trying to get a second. They would if obviously they could, but they weren't desperate. They were just holding in, really, which meant that Tom had the space and the freedom to be able to pick out passes and add his composure to the game. But yeah, the later substitutions, our wingers were dead on their feet. Bobby wasn't offering much. Willian, I think, was tiring and slowing down. And you've got, especially when we got Manor Solomon on the bench, we want to see what he can do. We want to see him. We know that he's got the quality, and he showed it in flashes, but he can't do it when he has 3 minutes of regular time to come on and make a difference. I think that I don't want to criticize Marco. And look, I think two things can be true. We can still really respect the job that Marco's doing, but occasionally just say, like, look, I wouldn't have done that decision. But I would have made those substitutions a lot sooner. I think that Solomon, I don't know if Wilson really is much of a game changer. I don't think he's really thriving in that role coming off the bench, but Solomon looked fantastic. And Carlos Vinicius came on and I thought looked a real handful of, again, no time to do anything really. But, I think his confidence is up, and I think we should be utilising that more. There is a good striker in there. He got his goal against Chelsea, and I think that we should be utilising him earlier. If the Mitro option isn't working, but give him 20 minutes, give him half an hour, especially when we're chasing the game. I'd have rather lost that game 2-0 trying last night than what we did yesterday, which was kind of just, we took a risk with 3 minutes to go. Might as well have lost it 2-0. It makes no difference at this stage. We're not worried about goal difference. We're not battling to stay up, and it would have been a morale-sapping loss to lose 2-0 to Spurs. But I just don't think Marco really gave us the best chance. Big Nose Monkey, 1, 2, 3, 4. We still look tired. We do a little bit, and that's particularly in the second half. And there's no excuse for that yesterday. We had 8 days rest between the Newcastle game and yesterday's Spurs game. Spurs played on the Thursday, so they had a lot shorter rest time between games. And yeah, I admit that we still look a little bit leggy. And Mitro, I thought, was good for the first half an hour, but he obviously still isn't 100%. He got clobbered towards the end of the game, and it was his foot again that seemed to be the problem. I don't know what the solution is with Mitro. I wonder if there is a deeper problem with Mitro and his foot, because it seems to not be getting better. And he's been having long times out between games. He obviously had the time after the World Cup. He had the time before the World Cup. He had the suspension as well, where he missed Chelsea, which meant he's been having long times between games. He's probably going to have another 2 weeks, because you imagine he's probably not going to play in the Cup against Sunderland. If it's still an issue, then I hate to say it, but you wonder if there's something like that needs surgery in there, because it just doesn't seem to be going away. He seems to have aggravated it, and I fear for that in the future. I fear that that's going to be a big problem down the line. Trevor Stannard, the atmosphere was flat from the moment we arrived at the ground, and the delay made it worse. Also, everyone sat down straight away. Yeah, it was flat last night. I mean, I think sometimes there are ingredients to a game that make it difficult to build an atmosphere. It was a little bit after the Lord Mayor show, because let's not forget, the last time we were at Craven Cottage, we beat and won against Chelsea. It was never going to live up to that. I think we have to be realistic. Despite it being Spurs and a big game in a Monday night football, it's going to struggle to live up to that high. And I think it's unrealistic to expect the Hammersmith end, as it is, to stand every game in the way that it's organised. I know there are plenty of people around me who were fuming just because people stood for the first minute. I'm not. I love it. I wish this Hammersmith end did stand all game, but there's a lot of people that don't feel the same way. And yeah, I think a number of factors, the delay of 15 minutes, the fact that it was just freezing. last night. And then like the referee, I don't know what he was playing at before the game, both halves. He was having a chin wag on the side. It was like playing Sunday League, and like even the DJ had to repeat the songs because like he'd run out of music to keep the crowd going. It was utterly bizarre. And then the way that Spurs, I think, just Burnley-fied the game. It was like Sean Dyche, prime Sean Dyche, the way they just kind of killed all the atmosphere and the entertainment on the pitch. And yeah, I think it just had a cocktail of reasons why. And sometimes the cottage just isn't bouncing. And it has been so much recently that it's surprising when it doesn't happen. But there's going to be times where the cottage just isn't as rocking as it could be. I also heard that there was a bit of that the stewards at the top of the Hammersmith end are being slight dicks, to be bluntly honest, and just moving around the lads that actually do make an atmosphere at the top there as well. I don't exactly know what happened, but it seems like there's a bit of a war at the moment between some of the boys at the hammy end that make the noise and the stewards that are trying to get them to move, and they're all getting moved around and stuff, which I don't think is helping. And then certainly, you know, I imagine if you are one of the lads that feels like you're making the atmosphere at the back of the Hammersmith end, to be constantly told that you're standing in the wrong place or you're standing at all, must be particularly jarring. So I'll be interested to hear more about the reasons behind that. But I saw some murmurings on Twitter. And yeah, this made me laugh. The second announcement about the trains could not have been worse timing. Just as Fulham had built up some momentum, get a corner in the middle. Just like I get a big corner, 89th minute. Who's doing the announcements? Watch the game. There's so many times that you could do an announcement. I know we're nitpicking here, but like, come on. Ricky, I fully agree. And whilst this has become more of a chat about the atmosphere than the game, I think that says a lot about what we saw on the pitch last night and how boring Spurs made it. Is it me, or do other people think the light show is a bit tin pot? Yes. It's turning a light on and off. It's a glorified turning a light on and off to music. I could do that right now. If I was near my light switch, I could play Freed from Desire and turn my lights on and off. And that would be equivalent to what the light show is. Maybe I'm being grumpy here, but flipside fish, I fully agree. It's not much more, is it? It's not lasers. It's not the New Year's Eve fireworks show by London Eye. It's not a drone show. It's just a light turning the floodlights on and off, basically. Which it would be fine maybe if they didn't draw anything onto it, but they keep saying about they keep saying it's this big thing. It's turning the lights on and off, honestly. Finally, let's look ahead to Saturday's game. Looking forward to the Sunday Sunderland game. Should be a banger from Robbie O'Rourke. I write a column each week about Fulham on the BBC Sport website, and I did my column about this today, about how I think that got to go for broke in this Sunderland game. Naturally, you'd think, okay, it's a championship team at Craven Cottage. We need to rotate. I agree that like I would be fine with 3 or 4 people changing for the sake of squad rotation, giving a couple of people minutes. But I mean, I want some of the big hitters against Sunderland. Mitro, I would understand that. Is he fit? Is he not fit? And Carlos Vinicius is in form. I would understand that change reluctantly, but I think Mitro should be in the squad. I don't think he should totally miss out. I would like to see Polina play. I would like to see Pereira play. I would like to see a couple of our usual backline play. You know, I'd like to see Robinson, maybe Tosin and Diop, maybe give Ream a rest. But I'd like to see Kenny Tete. The other change I would understand is Marek Rodak coming in for Bernd Leno. Marek Rodak's a fantastic keeper. I think he deserves to get minutes. And we know that Marek Rodak is a more than capable keeper, particularly against championship opposition. But Sunderland cannot be underestimated. I saw their... I saw their game against Borough, which they played on Sunday, and they were fantastic. Sunderlona, I think a few Sunderland fans are calling them at the moment. And they're a really, really good team. They're doing well in the championship. Their tails are up. They're going to have 6,000 fans filling the Putney end. They're going to have a great atmosphere. I think it's a tough game. I think it's a very winnable game. I think there is other teams that I would definitely... not wanted to face more than Sunderland. I think we got a good draw, but I don't think it's a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's a tendency to still think of Sunderland as the League One strugglers that they had been for a few years, and they're very much not that now. They are championship playoff contenders, and they deserve a lot of respect, and it deserves a strong team, because why the heck wouldn't we play a strong team now? The FA Cup is a massive thing for Fulham this season. You've got the record amount of Premier League teams out in the third round, and you've got another big team that's going to go this weekend because Arsenal and Man City face each other. So you've got the top two. One of the top two is going to be out. You've already got teams like Chelsea out. You've already got Newcastle out. You've already got Villa out. There are big teams out of this competition already. There's a massive chance. I'm not saying Fulham are going to win the cup. I think there's a massive chance of getting to quarterfinal, maybe a semi-final at Wembley, and then who knows what happens. What a great day out a semi-final would be. And I think that can only get spoiled by taking a team like Sunderland for granted. So that would be what I would like to see on Saturday at the Cottage against Sunderland. So yeah, thank you for watching. I've rambled on, and we talked a lot more about I think the atmosphere at the Cottage than we did about the game. Disappointing. Could have been a massive opportunity to get 5th place and really add the cherry on top of what's been a fantastic few weeks. But I'm sure we'd have all traded a loss yesterday for a win at the Bridge in a couple of weeks' time and a cup progression as well. So sometimes it's take your medicine and hope for better days around the corner. Bit of an annoying game, but hardly one that's going to define our season. And it was still narrow against what is a very good team. They are 5th in the league for a reason, even though they have been a bit rubbish lately. So yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Podcast will be out later today. George Cooper, defender of the Light Show, is hosting it with Charlie Cooper, Jack Kelly, and Izzy Barker. So it should be a fun one. So make sure you listen to that. We'll see you soon. Come on, you whites.